Hello all, welcome to part 36 of the Wireless LAN Security Mega Primer. In this video, we will look at various insecurities which may creep in into your wireless network because of third-party utilities. So what do I mean by that? Well, almost every client card ships with its set of drivers and a utility to actually run the card, right? Especially for Windows. Now, typically this utility is provided by the manufacturer, and the only extra advantage is that it shows you a lot of other interesting things about the card, like the power levels, like the operation mode of choice and things like that, right? But what I've seen, at least in my experience, is that if you use these utilities to configure the security uh, of the wireless LAN with respect to your client, it's generally a bad idea. And I'll show you one of the utilities and what are the different security mistakes it actually makes while configuring uh, the wireless network. Right? So in my humble opinion, I think you're always better off using the utility which is available in your operating system by default, right? So let's actually go and figure out what I'm talking about. So I have a Windows machine here and I have my D-Link DWA 125 card all installed. And if you notice, the manager is going ahead and showing me two different networks. So let's say I want to connect to the SecurityTube network. It says this has advanced security settings. So I need to add a profile manually. So if I go to my wireless networks and say new, I could add a profile, and this could probably be, let's just say PEEP. And then SSID, as you already know, is SecurityTube. I think, am I writing it properly? SecurityTube. And this is a WPA2 enterprise network. Advanced settings, well, I could just keep it at auto. Now notice something very interesting. Let's just say, just click OK to this, right? And we try to go ahead and activate this and even try and make a connection. What you may actually notice is that it might not work properly. But if you go ahead with the configuration even more further, here is something interesting. Once you, let's say, select EAP PEEP, see the options it gives you MSCHAP v2. Now the by default options are very important, and this is where what typically happens is that probably the user knows maybe he needs to use PEEP, and at most you may say, well, this MSCHAP v2. Now this validate server side certificate is not really mentioned, not really checked by default. So let's say if we had just gone ahead and just keep this as the configuration, right? And let's say activate it or whatever. And now if I were to open up my wireless network, say clicking on open connection sharing, manage wireless network, if you notice, it has automatically created a profile here called EAP profile. So additional information needed, where you could actually enter. See, it's automatically connecting in the background. Won't probably work because the server is probably down, and the whole idea is not to really show you how to connect with a third-party utility, but something different. If you look at the security, what you would notice is that validate certificate typically on Windows 7 is enabled by default, and a lot of these options have been disabled, right? The most worrisome is validate certificate, and in the advanced security settings, well, I guess this is something which is unique to Windows 7 currently, from what I understand. The options are okay, but I would say the basic worry of using, for example, this utility, at least in my opinion, is a user who doesn't understand much and who's probably just following a very simple to do step would miss the fact that he needs to validate the certificate, right? And this is where other, even if let's say he remembers to do this, other things are forgotten. So as an example, I guess it's not updated it yet. Let me just select this and click activate. Right. And now let me go back. Hopefully it saved it now. Well, looks like there's even more a little bit of a bug here where it's not even enabling the certificate validation by default. Anyway, that's all for this video. Just in the end, what I'd like to show is even if you went ahead and deleted this profile, right, it just automatically appears after some time if the utility is running anywhere in the background. And you will just see that in a minute right now. If you notice, it just appeared. So what is happening is this is creating this insecure configuration all by itself. Even if you kind of go there, figure out that, well, this is something which actually needs to be removed entirely, right? So you remove it as the administrator. You're probably hoping everything is fine, but it's still going ahead and running and automatically creating it. Now, the interesting thing actually is that even if you go ahead and remove this program which is running in the background, so let's say you can quit the wireless manager and remove this from the profile. Right, let's wait for a bit. If you notice, the manager doesn't seem to run, but the profile again has automatically been created all by itself. So probably what is happening is there must be some service running in the background which probably is not shutting down even though I have actually killed the manager process. Now this is very worrisome because someone who may understand may actually come remove this network, maybe even add a new one, but the network will automatically appear after some time if the service is running in the background. And it does not give us at least anything which we can visibly see that it is running in the background. So something funny, more of a bug I would actually say. But this is one of the reasons why at least I would encourage you to use the OS's default utility to configure wireless network security rather than using third-party utilities. Right, so that's all for this video. Very simple one. Just wanted to point out that third-party Wi-Fi utilities may not be the best option, even though you may be tempted to use them because some of them have a very good and beautiful looking UI, but most of the time their default configuration is insecure. And a couple of times, even if you try to correct it, well, things may continue to remain wrong, as we just saw. Right? That's all for this video. Thank you. Bye-bye. And please leave your comments behind before I forget. And of course, if possible, please make a donation.